Fear buyers, buyers, they can decide to just be, irresponsible at any given time. And sometimes they do not care, what they do or how they do it or what they think about you as a seller. All right. See, 3 weeks ago, I had a different price on my laptop. Let's just say full price, because this was a time where I wasn't really feeling the heat of items not selling. So I had a different price on my item, and somebody went on and bought it on eBay. All right, bought it full price, item paid. This was like 3 weeks ago. I'm telling you guys, the laptop was shipped out to this buyer, and apparently the buyer has been using the laptop, But then just 3 days ago, I decided to change my price, because sometimes when items don't sell, one thing you want to query is that perhaps there's somebody selling that same item with a better price. So I felt like, okay, let me go ahead, reduce my price, just crash my profit, and at least to move this stock that I have. It's a Dell laptop, 14 inches. I have, I don't know, about 20 pieces of this laptop, and I felt like, no, this was really time for this laptop to be sold and just cleared out, recover whatever money I used in buying them, and then invest it in something else. All right, so I reduced the price. Yesterday, I was shocked to receive a return request from this buyer that bought this laptop 3 weeks ago, telling me that he found the price of this laptop somewhere cheaper. And I'm asking myself, are you kidding me? 3 weeks ago, you bought a laptop and you've been using it. You installed all your programs, possibly logged on, did everything you would have loved to do with a functional laptop. The problem now is, and to be honest, my price was already very good 3 weeks ago. All right, I'm not telling you that this was a laptop that possibly the buyer found it cheaper elsewhere for, I don't know, say 200 euro cheaper. That's not possible, because I keep combing the market. If the buyer would have found the same laptop, like say 200 euro cheaper somewhere else, definitely there's going to be a problem with that laptop. Either the battery is not good enough, or optically the laptop is not looking in the best condition. The laptop I sent over to this buyer was looking in the most excellent condition that any used laptop can ever look or be in. It was clean. There was no, terrible scratches, not even at all. I mean, these are high grade A, goods that I was so confident that this buyer would normally have been responsible, to think that, yes, even though I bought this laptop 3 weeks ago, there's every possibility that the price of this item is going to change. It happens, in online business when people, buy things today. The seller might have a promotion in 3 weeks and the price might change. If you want to begin to return every item because you found it 20 or 30 euros cheaper, that is a classical definition of a buyer being irresponsible. And it happens a lot. And it's just something that you need to be aware of and try to train your emotions not to be triggered by things like that, because this, I find it a little bit, sick that somebody, reaches out. If the buyer was even telling me now, okay, I found this laptop a little bit cheaper, say 30 euros, could you give me a 10 or 20 euro discount and let me keep it? No. Buyer went ahead, initiated a return request, immediately sent out that laptop back to me without even opening any line of discussion, like say, hey, this laptop, I don't know if you could, do me a little bit of a discount. I would like to keep it. But the laptop in itself, I think I got it for 30, 40 euro cheaper, for example. This, I would have been open to say, okay, no problem. In this case, I can offer you a 15 euro discount. Even though you have been using it for 3 weeks, I could still do that just to prevent the transaction from being cancelled. But this is not going to be the case, because the laptop is already back on its way to me, and hopefully the laptop gets delivered to me in a condition that is very, very good, exactly the way I sent it. And I'm not ready to begin to, write back and forth with the buyer and try to, convince a mind that's already made up. This is also a lesson I learned so many years ago. If somebody has made up his mind about not buying an item, doesn't matter how you try to convince them, they are still going to look for a reason to return it. I'm glad that this buyer is not returning his laptop because it's not fast enough or it didn't meet his need, but just because you find a different price somewhere. And this is also the reason why it's a little bit tricky in this area. People are very sensitive to the amount of money they spend. If it were somebody buying just a charger and he finds it like 2-3 euros different, it might not be so, open to want to return it. But when somebody buys a laptop already 400 euros, the person is already on edge with the budget. People don't have this money like you all think. People are scraping from here and there just to get by. Now they bought this thing and they are still not satisfied. It's a classical case also of buyer remorse. So sometimes they buy your stuff, and when they see the debits coming to their account, wow, I didn't expect that this is going to drain me for the month. And now they suddenly realize that their budget doesn't add up for the particular month, and they are not happy that they spent that money buying something that they ordinarily need. This is just human behavior. Sometimes, I'm not saying that everybody behaves like this. As a matter of fact, this is the first time this year I'm receiving a return request like this. To be honest, this year has been very good with returns, even though sales have been very, very slow. Buyer remorse is a thing. So sometimes some people buy your stuff, they use it, and then they realize that, I could have gotten something better. And the problem is that if they had done their due diligence right from the beginning of the transaction, they could have avoided all this kind of unnecessary cost and unnecessary stress. Because right now, money has been spent shipping out that item. Packaging materials has been spent, packaging that item. The DHL shipping cost has been, expended. And now the item needs to be returned back to me. It's another round of costs. So for the seller, that represents losses. The beautiful thing is that if the item comes back to me in the exact same condition in which it was sent out, then we do not really have a problem. Worst case scenario, I would just be, balanced, which is I'm not going to make any profit. I'm also not going to make losses. But if the laptop, for one reason or the other, returns back to me in a defective condition, like let's say it has fallen from the buyer and there's a crack or there's a dent here and there, that will not be good enough. All right, this is really just trying to let you know that yes, like I always say on this channel, we're going to be flexing here a lot, showing you guys a lot of the stuff that's sold on eBay, how the money is being made selling used computers. But I will be doing you guys a lot of the service if I also don't take you along and show you some of the challenges that we also pass through. I'm not this kind of person that will just show you the beautiful side and make you think that it's all going to be a bed of roses. Yes, this is a classical thing that can happen. Somebody buys your item, 3 weeks down the line, the person comes around and tell you that yes, I found this laptop a little bit cheaper somewhere else. A few weeks ago, I also made a video of somebody returning a desktop PC after 11 months of purchase. At the end of the day, the PC came back to me. I checked it and the PC wasn't in any way defective. Sent it back again to the buyer because when it's already like 11 months, I'm not obligated to return money. I'm just, the law of guarantee. I have to just make sure the item is in working condition. I sent it back and I wrote to the buyer that, look, this desktop PC wasn't in the first place defective. There was an error in the BIOS upgrade process, wasn't fully completed, and because of that, the machine was just acting a little bit weird, and that was the end of the case. The buyer didn't reach out to me anymore. And I mean, this, when you take a look at stores like this, then you begin to wonder that yes, sometimes the buyers, in themselves could be a little bit tricky, and you have to be, ready to deal with situations, like this. I hope this video finds you guys well, gives you a little bit of insight what we pass through as resellers. And if you are thinking of, coming to reselling, buying and selling stuff, use laptops, desktop PCs, stuff like that, be ready and understand that yes, it's a beautiful area to be in, but once in a while we get transactions like this that kind of leaves a sour taste on our mouth. Okay, see you again in the next video. Peace out.